audience be interested in instructional rounds? What's in it for them?
Rounds really has been a segue into Educate Alabama, into looking at changing of teacher evaluation so that we're looking at that descriptive observation. We modeled it, like I modeled it with our superintendent, our administrators, and then our administrators in turn, and that was really the conference part of Educate Alabama, and then in turn, principals have taken back with one teacher and done an observation, and then done the conferencing after the observation and the descriptive thing. So it's been a nice thing to help us. That's just been one part. I mean, there are many things that rounds have helped us do, but that's been one of the important things.
Yeah. I think it really does go well with Educate Alabama. We've talked a lot about formative assessment today, and I think instructional rounds is a formative assessment for the teachers because it does focus so much on being non-judgmental and providing direct evidence of what you see the teacher doing, and so they interpret it more as an opportunity for growth rather than a gotcha.
I've had the opportunity to be involved with an actual instructional round at Auburn Junior High School, which was very insightful and helpful. And as a precursor to instructional rounds, actually getting them up and going in the Elmore County system, we have been taking part in a POU this school year, the data rounds, to really help us become conversant and digging deep into the data among our schools and using that as a foundational tool before we move in full steam next year.
Descriptive observation. I know you've played a very good evidence cop. You might tell them a little bit about evidence cop. And how can that help both the observer and also the school when they get feedback that's really descriptive, not judgmental based?
Excuse me, as Becky said, I have been playing the evidence cop, and when you go into a classroom, it's been really hard to change the mindset, because when you go in, you're usually looking for evaluative things based on your experience, and to go in and not be judgmental. For instance, when you're going into a classroom, you may come out and say, that was a great lesson. What does that really tell the teacher about his or her practice? Nothing at all. And so going in and using descriptive observation, you want to be specific, and descriptive is really fine-grained because you're not looking at what the lesson is about or what the class as a whole was doing or not doing, but you're specifically looking at what the students are doing, what they're saying, what the teacher is actually doing and how she's participating, and how the core is all working together, the teacher, the students, and the content. Because if there's one lopsidedness with any of those three, then the other two are going to fall over. And so when you are going into a classroom and you want to use descriptive observation, you are specifically, you have agreed on it, first of all, let me just say that. You're not going in and just writing things down. You have agreed with the person that you are observing, these are the things that we're going to focus on. This is what I want you to look at. And AMSTI, we're not a district, but we have been practicing with our specialists, because our specialists go in and support your teachers, and to help the teachers feel more comfortable with Educate Alabama, we have focused this year on enhancing their coaching skills, not making them coaches, but enhancing their skills to be able to assist and support the teachers as they go from PEPI to Educate Alabama. Go from an evaluative, totally evaluative to one that is formative, that focuses on how can I improve my practice. So as you go through the instructional rounds, that's going to be something that's really, really interesting, is how hard it is for you to go from being judgmental to just describing what you see. Just writing down what you see, what the students say, what the teacher is doing, what the task is, what they're working on.
Why is it so hard? One of the others of you that have done an instructional round. How is it different? Expand on what Sheila said, because she's right, it's different. And why is it so hard?
I found it really difficult. One of the phrases from the book was, "Don't look for the dog that doesn't bark." And, you know, we all want to go in and say, well, I don't see the objective posted. You're not questioning enough. I think it's much more difficult to find kind of quantifiable evidence and say, you asked 5 questions, not you only asked 5 questions. I think it's just an innate part of us as teachers. We know what should be there, and if we don't see it, you know, because we know what we're looking for, we kind of have preconceived notions of what good teaching looks like. So that is the most difficult thing for me personally, is not looking for the dog that doesn't bark.
I've said a lot about suspending your judgment. There will come a time in the process when you will use your beliefs, and they will come into play as you're making conclusions as a group, as a whole group. But if you start out in the classroom by saying, oh, that was a poor lesson, she didn't ask enough questions, she didn't allow the students enough time, then you are already at the top of the ladder of inference, and trying to go back down is very difficult. I don't know if you've ever had to go up on top of your roof, and then you know how hard it is to come down if there's nobody holding the ladder. Well, if you think of descriptive observation as the person who's standing at the bottom holding the ladder, then that makes it easier if you start with the concrete, what you actually see, and then you move through your beliefs, because your beliefs are going to change based on the evidence. But stick with the evidence.
Myself really getting caught up in what the kids are doing, and when we're doing this kind of observation, I really have to work to be a video camera, because I get caught up in the kids and I find myself watching and not really remembering to do that writing. So it's really work to do that. The other thing about it that I really like is the fact that you can have a conversation with the student. You can say, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And students should know. So that interaction with the student is also